Okay, so we can see, you know, the actual fence itself in relationship to the TSO. The TSO triangle. Now I just have to figure out what I did with the box with the components. Is this it? This is it. Alright. So basically I can, let's say, so this is my cut line right here. This is my normal cut line. So if I want to, you know, get an angle, I'm not actually going to be changing the angle of the cutting station. I'm actually going to be changing the angle of the workpiece. So if I put this here and drop this down, now I have the ability to turn. I can go parallel to my cut line. I take this piece of wood here, and based upon the angle, so this will be, you know, like if I'm squaring up just off of here, you know, this is roughly would be just a regular 90-degree cut or cross cut. But say I wanted to get an angle of whatever degree, I would set it, and actually I can't set it here because obviously it's in my track saw line. So I would actually have to pick this up and move this over. Let's say to here. And at this angle here, right, I'm able to cut whatever angle I want based upon where I secure the actual triangle. Let's see if you can see that in the frame. So if you can see here, if I wanted to say, obviously if I want a 45-degree angle, I could set it like this, and then if I put my piece of wood here, right, and that would give me a 45-degree angle. Now obviously, as I said before, you have to be mindful of where your actual cut is. So I can move this back a bit. Let's move it down here. And then if I take another section, and actually you can put this in there. This goes here. You drop that down. And then based upon this, I can dial in my angle. So if I want to, you know, dial in a 90, right? Now obviously the 90 is on this side as opposed to on the other side. So if I'm doing a 45, that 45 is on this angle here, right? And if I want to do a 15-degree angle, it's going this way, right? So obviously this triangle works on both sides, so I can turn it back to get my 90 here, and then back it up over here like this. Pop this down, and then, so now I'm at 90. This is going to give me a 90 degree cut. Now if I wanted, obviously I would move it over further, closer to the cut piece if this was the size of my work. But when you start getting into the angles, like say if I want to come down and cut a 75, right, I have to be mindful of where the piece is going to set. So let's move it over closer and let's see what angles I can get based upon this thing. So if I want 90, now I'm locked in at 90, right? Because it's not going to move here. And I actually can use a knob like this underneath to actually secure the triangle in place. And that can I can actually tighten it down to where it doesn't move. So this part is not going to move, but this part is able to move. So if I decided I wanted to cut a piece, and let's say I want a 45-degree angle, I will pull this all the way to 45, and then I'd put in the knob underneath. There. And once that's fixed, as you can see, it doesn't move. So now I'm going to get a 45-degree angle on this board based upon this setup. So I can loosen this, turn it to a 30-degree, and I can tighten it down. And I can make my cut. Now I have a 30-degree cut going across this angle. If I loosen it again, if I want a 15-degree, right there, I can tighten it up, and I can cut across and get my 15-degree. And then coming all the way down, if I wanted a 5-degree angle, so, and this gives me my 5-degree angle. So when you look at this setup, it's a little bit more, there's a little bit more to it with this setup, because as you can see, you know, you've got your fence, your bench dog fence here, and then you have this TSO square. I think Bench Dogs has also made a square similar to this to be able to function in a similar fashion. So you see, you can get all of your angles, your protracted angles, with a triangle like this. Now this thing is not cheap. This thing is like, I want to say like $400 or so, over $400, especially with the set. So the set comes with all kinds of attachments to be able to use it in a variety of different methods. Like you can actually put, there's a lip that I can put on here to where it'll actually work as a conventional square that I can affix to the side down here. And that gives this square the ability to stand up. You can use it for assembly, and also obviously to measure square. It'll work well for being able to square up the Festool MFT, is what I understand. Other people have stated a square like this, or like a woodpecker square. These things are made out of machine grade, I think they call it aircraft aluminum or whatever, and I like it. It's pretty cool. It's actually giving me the ability to be more precise in whatever projects I want to do. Like when I was actually making my woodworking, when I was making my lumber cart, the angle at which the plywood leans on one side made it to where when I made the carts that hold the wood on the opposite side, I had to figure out what that angle was, and then I had to cut all the pieces appropriately so that those carts would fit in there and have and utilize all that space. I could have made it square on the back end, but then there would have been a lot more of a gap in between the actual wood cart backing where the plywood is and the actual area where the cutoffs go. So utilizing this particular setup helped me to be able to cut that angle. And as I said, you know, like for most people, I don't think that this is going to be something that is, you know, a product that you would run out and buy. But if you're like, you know, serious about growing in a hobby like this, like woodworking, it really helps to be able to get accurate and repeatable cuts, because it's not always about like everything being measured out exactly the same. It's basically everything being cut the same. So if you wanted to make a table and you want it to be 30 inches high, well, it may be 30, and a 16th. But if all of the legs of that table are 30 and a 16th, versus one of them being 30, the other one being 30 and a 16th, the other one being a 30 and an 8th, you're going to have a better outcome. You're going to have a flat surface. So coming up with methods to be able to cut both straight lines and angles consistently and accurately the same way will give you a better product in the end, and also give you more satisfaction in the work that you're actually producing. So I know this is not a super in-depth explanation of this triangle, and I'm only touching the surface of what it's capable of doing. I simply wanted to kind of just show how with my home built MFT, this is how, as I'm going down this journey of learning how to be more effective and efficient with woodworking, this gives me the ability to be able to get the angles that I may need, which, come up in projects from time to time. And so this is the solution. Obviously, as I said, if you take this triangle and then you take the cost of the fence, one or the other, right? Obviously, I could have just bought a Festool MFT and it could have took care of all this. Now, it would not have replaced the fact that with the Festool MFT, you need something to square that fence. You need a true square to actually square up that fence, or else you're going to have, cuts that are not accurate. So, I mean, in a way, you would have to add something like this to that purchase in order to be able to get the accuracy that you want. Obviously, with the Festool system, you can't really use that apart from that system. It's kind of built to work together. Whereas with this triangle, this, I can use this as a square to square up, a carcass for a cabinet, or for other functions. I could use it for layout. I mean, you never think about how something like this can be useful, because when I put the foot plate on here and I butt it up against the bottom of my work, I've got 17 inches across, whereas my other, squares, I mean, look at it in comparison. It pales in comparison in regards to the size. And so, it's very welcomed to have a square this big. It's super expensive, but it's super useful when you have a bigger piece of material that you want to do the same thing that you use this for. And I found myself oftentimes wanting wanting a bigger size, to be able to go across. I mean, look at this piece of wood here. This piece of wood is, I don't have my tape measure, but obviously it's over 6 inches, because this thing is 6 inches long, this particular square. And I can't even draw a line consistent, all the way across this piece in one go because of the size of this particular square. This square, obviously, is going to give me the ability to have that same function, and obviously give me a higher capacity. As I said, this part here, there's holes here, and there are holes in the bottom here where you screw it in. All of my screws are in this kit here, and you would push this up, and I can clearly get all the way across this piece of wood, where I can't with that one. And so that functionality alone, right, even though it is a very expensive square, it adds so much functionality, especially in conjunction with a MFT style top, where you can actually use it to cut your angles, and you can also use it for layout and carcass construction. So, I mean, that's what I'm using it for. I find it useful, and I'm going to continue to use it. So anyways, if you found the video helpful, good. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video that I do decide to produce. Thanks.